Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Well, hello, everybody. And yes, you can call us 1-800-229-3000. And by us, I mean Dr. Jill Hubbard and JJ West. They are joining me today, and we are here to answer your calls. We know that you are struggling in some place in your life. And how do we know that? Because we hear it all the time. And so if today is the day that you need some help, or you know somebody that needs help, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Or maybe you text somebody that New Life Live is on, and if you need help, you can call them today. Speaking of help, one of the things that we do is we talk to families all of the time. And we know that when families have struggles, it affects every part of their life. But what do you two recommend to do intentionally to build a strong family? What are the intentions that you set for your kids, for your extended family? What are some ways that people can build a strong family?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that jumps out to me is that you speak words of life, of praise, of encouragement to your children on a regular basis, that you're letting them know what you see in them that impresses you, what you see in them that you love, what you see in them that you enjoy, that you delight in them, that you're saying those things to them. And then you back it up with action. You back it up with spending time together, going on adventures together. A couple of my friends actually do this thing called the Circle of Greatness, where on birthdays and special occasions, the whole family sits in a circle and each person goes around. There's some designated person who's the hearer, and everybody else in the family goes around and shares one thing that they admire, value, or appreciate about that person. And they do that on a regular basis.
That's powerful. Jill, how about you? What would you recommend?
I think it's listening more to people. First, having some self-awareness, right, about how you impact others is really important. And then listening to what people actually say to you and watching who they are, right, so that you can kind of meet them where they're at. I think it's really important to show interest in other people's interests in the family, right? Not just, as a mom, we tend to kind of orchestrate things, and it can be a lot of, okay, do this, do this, do this, and really slowing down and stopping and listening and hearing.
Yeah, it reminds me of in the olden days, like we're talking like other centuries, where they would have like a family coat of arms, that represented what their family represented, what they were about. And I think a lot of times our intention of teaching our kids, this is who we are, this is what makes us family, can also give them that strong sense of identity within the family that helps in so many ways.
Absolutely. That they would want to belong to this family too, right? There are things to feel good about in being a part of this family, not a family that you want to get away from.
Right. Well, and we hear a lot about those.
We do.
Maybe you are in a family where you've got some strife and you people cannot get along. And it breaks my heart when we hear where there's been separation. And I realize, because we hear those stories too, that there have been some really painful things that have happened in families. But it doesn't have to be forever. And, you can make a good goodbye, if you need to have a strong boundary because of a hurtful family member. But there's families created in a lot of different ways. It's our church community, it's our blood relatives, it's all kinds of ways. But we need to have a strong family identity. It makes such a powerful difference. If you have a question about that or many other things, we're going to be here for a couple hours. Call us, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back right after this.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 3rd through the 5th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, we were talking about having strong families, and we know that a strong foundation can be a strong marriage in a family. And so if maybe that's the area that you and your spouse need to work on, we've got Intimacy and Marriage coming up in a couple of weeks in Dallas. And JJ, you're one of the speakers. What would you say to a husband or a wife who maybe they recognize that their family is struggling and it might be due to the discord in their marriage? What would you say to them?
Yeah, having a functional marriage, having a healthy marriage is so important for the whole family. I honestly believe that's the greatest gift that my wife and I have been able to pass on to our children, is the fact that we've worked on our marriage. Now, I mean, we still have a lot of work to go. We're far from perfect, but we continue to work on it, and we continue to look at the things that have contributed to the way we relate to one another. I think that's so important. Every couple I talk to, I in my office, I often ask the question, have you noticed how no matter where an argument starts, it always ends up in the same place? Like you follow these
It's the same argument for 20 years,
it's the
right?
same argument. Doesn't matter what it starts with,
Nope.
but it always ends in the same
It
place.
has the same pattern.
Yeah, it's the same pattern. And why is that? Because of the things we bring into the relationship, right? And that stuff from growing up, that stuff that shaped who we are, how we relate to others, is so important. If we never look at that, if we never understand that, then we'll keep making the same mistakes. We'll keep stumbling over the same things over and over and over. And we'll be wondering, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep overreacting to this situation? Why do I keep yelling at my kids when I don't want to? Why do I keep avoiding deep conversations with my spouse when I really want to be connected? Well, a lot of it has to do with the stuff that went on in my life from, birth to 18. And I have to be willing to take a look at that in order to change how I'm relating to others.
Well,
and that's the key that you said, Becky. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. And it's so great when couples can start to see that same song and dance happening and go, do we really want to play this out? Or maybe we should look at what's really going on here. Like, what are we really wanting right now? So
well, and Jill, what you were saying about the same argument for 20 years, that is, why we do that is because it's familiar. And there's a saying I say all the time that people stay in hell because they recognize the street names.
Yeah.
They just keep going around the block over and over again. And, it's funny because it's weird that we feel comfortable in our discontent. It has become, this is what I'm going to say, then he's going to do this. And this is just how we're going to be married and miserable. And go ahead.
Well, I'm always so amazed that people get to a point where it's like, okay, should I just leave? Right? It's like almost like it's easier to leave than actually work on it. Right?
Yes.
Like, should I just resign myself and be miserable, or should I leave? How about actually working on it?
Yes.
How about that?
And sincerely working on it, not just saying, well, as soon as he gets better or as soon as she gets better, right?
Right.
It is so powerful because here's what happens so many times. People will go through the divorce, which is hard. We had a caller just a couple weeks ago, married the same person 3 times, the exact same person. But you also hear stories of people who they get remarried to a different human being, but it's the same person that
But
they
it's the same
divorced
person.
before.
Yes.
They got a
Yes.
different name, different face, but it is the same struggle. And so we've got to do the deep work of healing to understand, why am I reactive? What am I,
Right.
what do I really need? And where did I learn this? And at
Right.
Intimacy and Marriage, we talk about that. It's like, how did you
we do.
see your
Yes.
parents have this interaction? You know, I know, JJ, you talk about this at Intimacy and Marriage. And I just think, gosh, if couples who are struggling with the same argument for 20 years would just do the work, like you said, Jill, just, take the
Well,
step
right.
and go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. You married this person for a reason, right?
Right.
It's not by accident, although sometimes people feel like they fall into it by accident. But it's like, okay, so this is the vehicle which God is going to use to change you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And
Right.
to make you more Christ-like. So
Yes.
you can leave. And there are those situations where, yes,
Right.
the other
makes
person
sense
is
to, right.
not willing at all. But if you can both be willing, it's so much easier than starting over the whole pattern with someone
Right.
else.
Right. You know, one of the things when I do premarital counseling with couples, I'll ask them the question, what's the purpose of marriage? And I get a wide variety of answers to that question. But I want to lead them to the real purpose of marriage is, just as you were saying, Jill, that it's God's tool to sanctify us.
Yes.
I always describe it as a cauldron. And as heat is
Dark
applied,
and black.
right?
And
As
boiling
heat-
over.
And boiling
Exactly.
over, yeah.
And right, as heat is applied, right, all the impurities rise to the surface, right?
Sure.
And then they have the opportunity to be skimmed away, right? Because I had no idea how selfish I was until I got married.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It was all of a sudden it was front and center. Oh, I want my way all the time. When I'm
It's a
single
great
and I'm on
revealer.
my own, right? And I don't see it as well. And then when you add kids to the mix, right, it just amplifies it even more. That, this is something I need to work on. And so, to your point, at the workshop, one of the things we emphasize is working on your side of the street, keeping your side of the street clean, working on what brought you here, not just kind of the pointing the finger at the spouse and going, well, he needs to change, she needs to change. And once they do, then I'll be happy. No. I have to work on me, because no matter what, even if I go through the process of a divorce, I'm still going to take me into whatever relationship follows. And so I'm going to have very similar patterns in whatever relationship follows if I don't work on the things that brought me here.
Right.
That's so
you know,
true.
I used to think that courtship was kind of God's joke, because otherwise, why would anyone get married, right? Because when I was first married, it was so hard. It was like a bait and switch. But here's the thing. When we have that commitment and supposed safety, right? And the closer you get to another person, actually, the more primitive you become. And you hit up against your own intimacy issues.
Wow.
And none of us like that, right?
No.
We like to think, we're good at this, right?
Well, we're unaware. Like
we're
you said,
unaware.
We have no
And
idea.
there's no way in dating you can see it fully.
No. Because in dating, we put on our mask of what we think the other person wants. They put on their mask of what they think we want. And those masks go out for a while.
Well,
but it's really only, go ahead.
Well, a mask, but I don't think it's intentionally we put on a mask, right?
No, not always.
Right, we're
no.
not always aware. We just don't fully show all of ourselves because it's not, we haven't done the groundwork yet, right? We haven't laid the foundation yet where we can safely bring out the other side of us. And I think it's a total unconscious process.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes you feel like you're unconscious. That's why you have that's why you have the bait and switch.
I know, exactly.
Or sometimes we choose to be unconscious through various means.
Yes,
And
right?
people do. Yes, exactly. And that's why we want you to be aware of, you don't have to be married and miserable.
No.
You can have an incredible life together, and we can help you do that. We're going to go to the calls, and you can call us 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be taking calls whether you have a marriage problem or an awareness problem, because some of you have an awareness problem, and that's why you're not calling. So you need to call us 1-800-229-3000. We're going to go to Lee, who's calling us from Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Listens on WBYN. Hello, Lee. How are you? And how can we help you today?
We're doing great. Hey, I'm so much a fan of you guys. We've listened for years and years and years, and so
Thank you.
I've taken courses from you. But anyway, I'm working with doing counseling at a local church, and recently someone has been doing in the church has been doing a counseling with a thing called Splankna. Splankna.
Splankna, yes. Mm-hmm.
And so there's been oh my gosh, you could have spit on a fire. I mean, my goodness, it was steam all over the place. And so there's a lot of controversy. Is this really a Christian gig or not? Really, I read some of the material, I Googled it, and and kind of looked at it that way. And the claims they make is yes, but it has storing energy along meridian lines of your body and memories. And yeah, okay. My question.
Is that your question, Lee? You want to know if it's really Christian? Is that what your question is?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I can speak to that, but I want to hear from JJ or Jill. Are you guys familiar with Splankna and what it all means?
I can honestly say I've never heard of it.
Okay, I'm a little bit familiar with it, and I've known genuine, sincere Christian therapists who have utilized it and found great results from it. So I think it's also like anything, who is implementing it?
Right.
So we can always put a Christian name to lots of things, but the people that I know who have utilized it would not venture into something that was contradictory to God's word.
Right. The same for me too, Jill. Matter of fact, I was just at a Christian counselors conference last week, and they had a booth there, and they always have a big long line, because here's one of the things, Lee, that we know: the body does keep the score. We store trauma, we store experiences in our body. And a lot of times, even in counseling or even in our Christian faith, we get kind of separated from what's happening in our body. And so what Splankna does is they help people to connect what they may be storing. And I know that sounds weird and all kind of, whatever, but they're not trying to manufacture something. And if you have a qualified person, like you said, Jill, they're not going to force somebody to think some way. And that's across the board, whether you're Christian or not. You need to be an ethical practitioner of whatever your craft is. But are you afraid of it, Lee, or do you have questions about the person who's providing it?
Well, actually, it's created a kind of a stir within our church. The people who are practicing, or the lady who's practicing, is I think is beyond reproach. I think she's a very strong Christian, and yet the church has drawn the line and said, well, we can't be a part of this, and has made a separation. And so I'm afraid that there's going to be, there's going to fall into this thing, the forward again, type of thing. And I just need more information. I looked it up, and I've seen the material, the videos that they've shown, and I walked away just about very much as confused as I began. Yeah. I'm afraid.
Well, and what Becky was alluding to, Lee, or stated, right, about the body keeps the score, that and these things that are stored. So even when someone has gone through trauma, and the younger the trauma, right, it's stored in the body, and talk therapy alone can't always touch that. So it's trying to come in from a different angle to access and help people, right? Because just using our words, there can be a lot of blocks, even though I'm a firm believer in talk therapy, and it does change our brain. And it's what we have to work with, but there are other ways to access. And like, have you ever gone to get your hair done? And maybe you don't, Lee, but as women, and they're rubbing your head. And I'm not saying that a therapist does this, but just the touch. You start talking, right? And you tell your hairdresser everything,
right?
Right?
Well, to be honest, there was years ago. Where's the thing where you touch points on your feet? What's that called?
Yep. Reflexology. Reflexology.
Yeah. And I used to mock that and laugh at that until one time Well, they got me one of these socks, and I put it on, had different spots of what you press, and oh God, it really relieved my wife did that. It really relieved my sinuses. And
See?
Oh, well, okay. Well, I don't know everything, so.
Well, but you know what I
one thing
love? Oh, go ahead, JJ.
Okay, I was just going to say one thing to keep in mind. Like, we have muscle memory. Everybody knows about muscle memory, right? You learn how to ride a bike, you'll always know how to ride a bike. We actually have soul memory. There are things that are stored in our soul that we may not be consciously aware of, and some of these modalities that you're referring to actually help to access or release some of those things.
That's powerful. Well, thanks for calling, Lee, for bringing that up, because, we want to learn. We want to know what can be out there to help us, and we're learning all the time about neuroscience and body and trauma and release from that. I'm going to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice, and I'm grateful for your listener being around.
The Life Recovery Connection Conference is online Saturday, October 7th. The topics addressed aren't just for people with alcohol or drug addictions, but for anyone who wants to move from the pain and the struggles of the past towards a healthier and happier future. Steve Arterburn, Becky Brown, and other experts will present new material on topics like reclaiming your calling, small group best practices, self-care, discipleship, sponsoring and mentoring, understanding and loving an addict or alcoholic, the history of the 12 steps, and much more. Plus, there are interactive breakout groups led by the conference presenters. To register or to find out more about the New Life Recovery Connection Conference, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverygroups.com. Get help to successfully walk your recovery journey as well as go alongside others in need of help. 1-800-639-5433 or liferecoverygroups.com.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We have been on the air for 35 years, and we are so grateful for all of our listeners. And if you want to call in today, you can call us at 1-800-229-3000, and we'll answer your call. But right now, we're going to go to one of our legacy calls. Let's just call it that, with John, Henry, and Steve. Go ahead, Terry.
Let's jump over here to Angela, who's calling from Moth Point, Mississippi, XM Satellite Radio. Hello there.
Hello, how are y'all?
Doing great.
Thank you for taking my call. My question is that I feel like my husband is not honest with me.
Really?
And as a believer and as a Christian, do I let things go when there's no admittance that he's not, if I find something that he's not being honest with, he doesn't say, you're right, I'm not being honest.
Give us an example.
Oh, I went out of town for the weekend, and he had my car, and when I came back, there was pantyhose in my car.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
And
this isn't just lying.
No admittance.
Okay.
That they were there.
Right.
They were mine, he said.
No admittance that they were there?
Right.
I mean, you're
we
standing
didn't know
there.
How they got there.
You're standing there holding them.
Yeah.
And he's saying,
correct.
All right.
Yours.
I think you've got three things that you have to consider here, all right?
Okay.
One is there may be a pantyhose bandit that's going around putting pantyhose in the front seats of cars or men to get them in trouble with their wife? Not likely, huh?
No.
Okay, the other option is your husband has a little bit of a perversion here and loves to wear pantyhose when you're out of town.
I don't think so.
Uh-huh. And then the third one is a woman was in his car, took off her pantyhose, and took off before she took her pantyhose with her.
Right.
So you have a question, not of whether or not you do something, but what you need to do. Because in the introduction of this show, John said it, we played it again, God doesn't say, blessed are the peacekeepers, which is what you're saying. Do I just keep the peace? He won't admit it. It's the peacemakers. And sometimes to make peace, we got to take action. What do you guys think?
Well, I want to hear Angela. This didn't just start with the pantyhose in the back seat, right?
No, sir.
Where did it start? How long's whatever? What else has been happening?
Well, we've been married 12 years, so there's a long history throughout the 12 years. But I want to say that the first 10 years was absolutely terrible. But I kept holding on and holding on and holding on. Now, the past 2 years, I think I've come to a place now where I believe that some of these things just aren't okay. And that even Christ wouldn't say to me, I want you to be a doormat or lied to or manipulated. And so that's to the place where I've come to, but now he's coming back to me and saying to me that I'm allowing the enemy to separate us.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, give us some specifics.
Yeah.
What has happened in the last, 3 years?
The pantyhose in the past 3 years. I found an email where he was communicating with someone else, another guy friend, about some girl that wanted to see him naked. And of course, he said it was just a joke. It was a girl from high school, and they'd had the high school reunion, and I was making a big deal out of nothing. And which I said to him that in a marriage, it is not okay for you to even communicate those type of conversations if we're in a marriage together.
So what's he willing to do? Would he be willing to, separate from whatever the pantyhose and the nakedness viewing is, would he be willing to go to something with you to help your marriage?
Well, he won't admit any of these
Well, but
things.
just to help your marriage. You just take that off the table and say, okay, well, maybe the enemy has been using me, whatever, but let's go do something. Let's go work on our marriage.
He might. I can ask him. I just don't know if I'm.
Well, I don't think he's ever going to admit that he's got a problem. But I think your best hope is go around the side door and try to get him to just help with the marriage. You guys do something together to help your marriage.
Yeah, I think you have to put your foot down.
Yeah.
And just say, look, just stuff that's been going on for a long time, whether you agree or not. The reality is I don't feel good with you about feeling secure, and I don't feel in a place where I want to be feeling, and I want our marriage to be good, and we're not there. So I want you to go with me to see a good counselor.
Yeah.
And what that does, Angela, is then the third party hears about the naked email, and the third party hears about the pantyhose, and the third party looks at your husband and says, this is inappropriate, way out of line, and he can't as easily dismiss them because he's kind of controlling you. So you need the other person to come in that he'll listen to and respect, so that there's a higher chance that he's gonna have to pay attention.
Yeah. He's either a transgressor or a transvestite. Mm-hmm. So either way, you need help in your marriage.
It's always something. And, that's why we help men at Every Man's Battle. We help couples at Intimacy and Marriage, because we need to have true truth in our marriages, in our relationships. And what was so challenging for Angela is she couldn't believe that this was what was happening to her. And her husband was able to just tell her whatever he thought would keep her off the trail. But, if you have struggles that you're just feeling like you're in a cloud, call us, 1-800-229-3000. We got some calls coming in, but we've got some space. If you need help, we want to help you. We'll be right back after this.
of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I just want to remind you all that we are going to do an online life recovery conference October 7th. And you will hear from people like Steve, me, a couple of our coaches and counselors that we're going to be talking about recovery. And whether you are curious or that you are doing the work, we want to have you enjoy this day where you're going to learn, you're going to connect with others, and we want you to be there. So check it out. You can go to Life Recovery Today, Life Recovery online. You can go to liferecoverytoday.net. to watch our Life Recovery Today TV show that's seen on NRB every day or every Tuesday at 9:30. I'm scrambling all of this, and hopefully you'll make sense of recovery. That's what I want you to do. We're going to go to the calls, and we're going to talk with Deborah, who's calling us from Fargo, North Dakota, listens on our app that you can download for free wherever you get your apps. Thanks, Deborah, for calling. How can we help you today?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I have been to Restore. I went a summer ago, a little over a year ago. And my husband did the one-day online Every Man's Battle. And the issue I'm dealing with is we've signed up for the Intimacy in Marriage in October. Have the tickets bought, everything's a go. But the major issue is not so much the pornography. I think he's still doing it. I don't have proof. But the issue of silent treatment, and I know it's abuse, and I know I've been in recovery for alcohol now for a while. And when I did go to Restore, it was amazing, the connections between the two programs. And we're taught to share what we need, what we want, not read our minds. And I have recently moved to a new community with him, so he's the only one I really know, and I've had enough.
So, Deborah, how can we help you the best today?
I think my plan is to either I leave and go stay in a hotel, or I ask him to leave because I cannot stand to be in the same home. And be ignored. It's been an ongoing problem for the last 5 years.
It's so hard. We hear your pain. Jill, how can you encourage Deborah?
Deborah, I'm so sorry. You've been trying to do so many things, and it is a journey and a long process. I'm glad you're signed up for the Intimacy in Marriage, and please keep that. If you decide that one of you needs to leave, I'm wondering, have you been with a therapist? And maybe you could do a kind of structured separation until the workshop, right? A time apart to reflect and to work on yourselves so that you come to the workshop ready to really dig in and learn and decide what you both are willing and wanting to do.
Well, and Deborah, what happens too, go ahead.
I think I should be the one to tell him to leave. Because this is his community he grew up in. His parents live there. His brother lives there.
So it sounds easiest for him to leave.
Yes.
And he's the one that's still struggling, not in full recovery, is what I'm hearing.
He won't talk. I mean, last night I just looked at him and I said, you can't even say you're sorry. You can't even say I love you. Nothing. Nothing. It's like there's nothing there.
And your heart is breaking, Deborah. And I also, I hear the isolation that you are experiencing too, which adds to what you guys are going through. And I know this is his community, but we need you to get your community because you're going to need the support. Whether you guys separate or not, you're going to need people who know you and can support you. Do you have a good connection with some women who are, go-to kind of people?
Yeah, I found a wonderful AA group 3 blocks from where I live.
Good.
And I've been going there.
That's good. And, that's good.
But I'm a long ways away from my other group, 2 hours away, and I'm 3 hours away from my daughters in college.
Yeah. There's just a lot of heartbreak. Deborah, I agree with what Jill's saying is even whatever you guys do, going to Intimacy in Marriage will help you have clarity of whatever the next step is. He also will have accountability. One of the unique things about the workshop is there's very rare places where you have couples in a group that can, you can see how other people interact, and it's pretty powerful, and you're not going to be alone. You know that we are there to support you. But I would love, is JJ still with us? JJ?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Can you encourage Deborah about this situation? Her husband's kind of not doing the work, kind of dialing it in. Yeah.
Not at all.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Can I just ask Deborah a question? First of all, let me say I'm so sorry that you're having to walk through this so alone, so isolated, that you don't have the support of your husband as he's walking through recovery too. But what does he say is, like, if you guys were going to go to Intimacy in Marriage, what would he say is the reason? What is he pointing to as these are the things that we need to work on?
I believe his answer would be, I have to go because Deborah told me to.
Okay, gotcha.
If this doesn't work, for my own sanity and my sobriety, we're done. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is going to be really important that you don't let his lack of work steal your progress, steal what God wants to do in you and in your life. I do agree with Jill. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's what happened 2 years ago when I realized.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what...
I promised myself and my daughters I would not do that again.
Right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the enemy wants, right? That's why the enemy constantly throws anything he can in our way whenever we're trying to make progress, whenever we're trying to move Godward. he wants to thwart that. And so he will do things like make a spouse. I'm not saying make, he's not in charge of him, but you understand, he's doing whatever he can to keep you moving forward. And so my encouragement to you is to hold that promise that you made to yourself and to your daughters, that I'm not going to let my recovery and my joy be dependent on what my husband does or doesn't do. I still want him to come to grips with the fact that he needs to do the work. And it may be that presenting him with what Jill was saying, a structured separation. Like, this is serious. We can't keep doing what we're doing and act like everything is okay. This is serious. Hopefully that will be enough to wake him up out of whatever stupor he's in, to recognize that he needs to do some work to rebuild trust with you. Not just, oh, I'm not going to engage in this behavior anymore, but that I'm actually actively moving toward recovery.
Right. Yeah. And I would ask him to get involved in essays, Sex Addicts Anonymous, and that you might, I'm so glad you found a group. That's wonderful. And maybe that serves all of your needs, but you might consider attending COSA, Codependence of Sex Addicts. That could, in addition to what you're already doing.
Yeah, or
be
even
added support.
And Deborah, we can get you reconnected with a sustained healing group from the Restore workshop as well, where you have women who know the language, they understand what you have experienced, and can be your tribe going forward. We're going to be praying for you. I will look forward to meeting you, as well as JJ, at the Intimacy and Marriage. And we're going to be praying for you, Deborah, and right up until the day you get there, and we'll continue afterwards. I'm going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back, just for the simple clarification of doing what you need to do on your side of the street and being able to call him into that. We're going to go to, you can hear the music. I wanted to talk to you, Larry. I think you're in the studio.
Yes, he is.
And so when we get back, I will go right to Larry, but we've got calls, and just hold on, because we're going to get to you. You know, it's heartbreaking when you're doing everything that you can to make a difference, and it feels like nothing's happening. But I just want to encourage you, Deborah, as well as others who may be listening, thinking that's my story. God's working even in that pain. The fact that you called and reached out, that's part of that work, that healing work, because it's really hard to ask for help. We think we can do it on our own, and we need others. We need God's help, and we need truth in our lives. We are sponsors of that. We want you to have that. You can call us 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We're so glad you're with us, and I'm glad that Larry's with us.
Hey, Becky,
What's
thank
happening,
you.
Larry?
Oh, well, Every Man's Battle's coming up a week from Friday. It's October 6th to 8th, and it's right here in Orange County. And JJ's going to be here leading the charge. I want to read something that one of the gentlemen in the recent workshop wrote for us. He said, "This weekend started as a group of strangers sitting in a room. By day 3, I felt like I have a band of brothers surrounding me. Came here with a lot of shame, a lot of baggage that for a majority of my life I kept pushed way down in my heart. This weekend taught me I'm not alone, and that by bringing past hurts and struggles into the light, there's so much freedom to be had. One of the lies of the enemy is I'm unredeemable, that I should just deal with my struggles on my own. This weekend further affirmed the importance of brotherhood and community. Walking forward, I know this fight is not over, but I am redeemed. I have a desperate hunger to pursue a more and more full relationship with the Lord and others." So guys, don't blow your chance to go take care of things. It's the nature of men to want to fix it for themselves, be Rambo, I don't need help, I can do this. That's what the way guys think. And we got to give you a shot at thinking another way. So if you would just pick up the phone and call our 800 number, 639-5433. Say, I want to know about Every Man's Battle. And ladies, if you think your husband needs it, you make that call. But it could make a big difference. And lastly, I know we've got to get to calls, but I want to remind people we have a matching gift going. So up to $361,000, your money will be doubled. We're not quite halfway there yet, but we're working on it. So make a gift if you would, match it. It makes a huge difference in people's lives because we can continue doing what we want to do, what we need to do, and what we think God's called us to do. So thank you. Thanks, Becky.
Thanks, Larry. And you can donate by going to newlife.com and click that donate button, or you can call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or you can call 1-800-229-3000. We got all the ways for you to stay connected with us. We are going to go back to the calls. We're going to keep taking calls, so you can call us at that number, 1-800-229-3000. Right now, we're going to talk with Sarah, who's calling us from Baltimore. And Terry, you're going to have to do that one. WAVA is where she listens. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Yes. I do have a matter that I don't know which way to handle it. But before I go to that, it is such that I am a woman that was in darkness for many, many years, and different things that you guys said was really great. And one of the therapists taught me about journaling to take the thoughts out of my head, to go to the paper, even if I can tear it up so nobody else reads it. And I did that for years, and it has changed. I'm just so thankful for all the people that know things and share with others so that they can get freedom from the spiritual warfare that we're playing in. When parents, I've learned that when parents are attacked, it's really not the parents they're attacking. They're trying to get to the downline, their children, and that is what's really scary and what keeps me pushing to try to save those that's coming behind my generation.
We love we love that about you, Sarah. How can we help you today?
Yeah, well, I have this pain of a niece that my niece wanted a child, and God blessed her to conceive, and she had miscarriage. And she conceived the second time, and on Saturday she lost her baby, which was due in November. So I'm trying to figure, what I can suggest. I mean, this is rock hard.
That's very hard. Jill, how can we encourage Sarah as she helps her niece?
Oh, well, Sarah, my heart goes out to you because I have a niece that was in a similar boat. And But now, years later, and she actually lost an almost 2-year-old and then miscarried. And then 7 years later, now she finally has a child. It's a long journey. Yeah. But it doesn't always turn out that way. And I just know watching her pain, it's hard being a relative and loving someone and seeing the desires of their heart and going through that. And I think being sensitive to that person, acknowledging this is a true loss, right? Because it's the loss of future, right? It's the loss of what you envision for your life, and everybody around you often at a certain age is having children, and so there's a lot of grieving that takes place. And so being someone that can maybe just sit in that with her, that allows her to be sad, that allows her to share her heart, please don't give her platitudes. She doesn't need platitudes, or someday it'll work out. We don't know that. Right? But we know that God loves her and is with her in it, right? And so to not lose heart, to not lose her faith in the midst of it, and allow God to do the work in her, and to continue to, express to God the desires of her heart.
I love that. I love that. JJ, would you add anything?
I would add just 2 quick things. One is that at some point it would probably be good for your niece and her partner to have some sort of funeral service, some sort of memorial service for the baby that was miscarried, as a way for them to say goodbye. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right, because you're correct, because they did actually do that for the first one. They actually did a service graveside and buried it in the children's cemetery. They did that for the first loss.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did, and I hope that they'll do it again for this child. It's part of the grieving process, as Jill was talking about. It's just grieving is so hard, especially when it's a situation where a child dies. That there are all these hopes and dreams and expectations that go along with this child, and so you're grieving so much. And I've said this before on the program. I'll say it again. It's really important that we recognize grief comes in waves. It doesn't come all at once. It's not like, you go through a week or a month or so and then you're done. It comes in waves. And when grief shows up, we want to treat grief like a visitor in some other culture, like in the Middle East, right? When a unexpected guest shows up in the Middle East, they welcome the guest in. Come sit down, let me make you some tea, and let's spend some time together. In the U.S., we do it differently. Somebody shows up that we weren't expecting, we leave them at the door knocking, and we go duck behind the couch. So when grief shows up, we don't want to go and hide from grief. We want to welcome grief in, come, have a seat, let me make you some tea. And if we do that, then after a little while, grief says, thank you, this was lovely, I'm going to go now. And then he'll come back later. But if we don't let grief in when he shows up, if we try and keep him at the door knocking and we hide behind the couch, he'll stay there knocking and knocking and knocking. And then grief becomes really disruptive. And that's what we don't want to happen. We don't want your niece, her grief to become disruptive. We want her to be able to encounter grief, to welcome grief in, and to recognize, as Jill said, that God comes and joins us in our grief. He comes and joins us in our sorrow. He's described as the man of sorrows, right? He understands what we go through. And that's so important, that we are the hands and feet of Jesus by coming alongside and sitting with those who are hurting, those who are suffering, those who are grieving.
Sarah, we're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Workbook on Grief that will help in the months to come. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, callers. But hold on, because we got another show coming up, and you can call us 1-800-229-3000. We're so grateful to be here for you, and we can help you. Give us a call.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.